Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video we're working on this short dress. It's very nice. It's a summer dress, obviously, because you will not wear this in any colder winter weathers, or maybe you will, but I'm making this for the summer, this upcoming summer. But yeah, this is what we're gonna be working on. It's a very simple stitch. Again, I'm just using a double crochet stitch here, and I'm using a single crochet stitch here to do the rip back loop single crochet, and the rest of it is just double crochet. So very simple dress, but you will be interested more in the design because it has this nice band here that will go and snatch your waist right in, and then it goes all the way down and it covers your hips nice and proper here. And then at the end I highlight it with this white color just to kind of highlight this dark color that we're making this with, because I'm making with pure black. Okay, so this is the front of it, and if you go to the back, then it's more interesting because you have this open back like this. I had a choice to make the straps longer so we can kind of zigzag the strap in the back like this, but I decided I will probably do other projects where I will do that. So this one will just be where it just ties to the back of your neck like this. Okay, so this is what we're working on. Go ahead and grab your materials and I'll do the same, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies, so before we get started with this project, I'm going to show you all the materials that I'm using for it. And as you can see here, I have the two color yarns that I'm using for my dress. I have the black and I have the white. This is from a brand that I got here in France. It's called Tourmaline. It's 100% acrylic, and it is a super lightweight number 2. Okay, and this is the same for this. So this is obviously black, this is white, but they go by color number, which is the black is 585 and the white is 1103. Okay, so just in case you're interested in getting this particular yarn, I don't know if you can get it anywhere in the world beside France, I'm not sure, but you can try. For a crochet hook side, the hook size, they're recommending 2.5 2.5 millimeter crochet hook, and it's the same for these as well. Okay, so this is what we're using. Each of these skein is 50 grams or 200 meters. Okay, for crochet hook sizes, speaking of that, I'm going to start off by using a 3 millimeter crochet hook, and then I'm going to do majority of the project in 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. I have my darning needle, I have a stitch marker, and as well as a scissors. I have my measuring tape somewhere, which I couldn't find it, but I'm gonna talk about how you can use the measuring tape to get your size. And in the meanwhile, I'll make sure I have it as well for when I start to talk about sizes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to start with my project here, I'm going to start by doing the band of the dress. Okay, and I'm going to use the white yarn to do that. The majority of the dress is going to be done in the black color, but I'm going to use the white to do the band, and then we're going to do the bottom of the dress in the white as well, but we're going to start with the band. Okay, so make sure you're leaving a tail hanging, not too much, maybe about 10 inches or so, less than 10 inches, so that we can use to join our band at the end. But make sure you have a yarn hanging for that purpose. Okay, so we're going to start by doing a slip knot. And also I'm using my 3 millimeter crochet hook at this time to do the band, and then I'm gonna go back and do the rest of the dress in the 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, so I'm gonna do a slip knot just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do a chain of 21. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is my chain of 21 here. This is going to be the width of your band. I'm making it quite big because I want my band to look really wide. Okay, and it's gonna go right below my bust, so it's not gonna go right let's say by my belly button. It's gonna go way above my belly button, because that's how I want it to look. Now that I have done this, I'm going to go ahead, and of course, just speaking of the band, you're going to do the width that you want. So if you're looking to do a smaller width, a band that is a little bit narrower like this, you can obviously do less chains. It doesn't matter how many, you can choose whatever number of chains you want to do. It just depends on the length of how long you do it. It's going to determine the width of the band. Okay, Hello. So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So we're gonna skip this first chain right here. I know it's white and it's a little bit hard to see. This first chain here we're gonna skip. In the next one we're gonna just pivot to the back, and we're gonna do a single crochet in the back of that first chain like this. Okay, and then we're gonna pivot again, and we're gonna pick up the next stitch, and we're gonna go in the back. And you're gonna need to be a little bit patient with this part here, because working in the back loop of the chain is very complicated and a little bit tedious, but it does make your work look nicer at the end, in my opinion. And you're gonna pick the next and do a single crochet, and this is pretty much what you do all the way to the end of this row. At the end of the row you will end up with 20 stitches, and then it's 20 stitches you're gonna be working on for this part of the dress, which is just the band of the dress. Okay, it's kind of like a belt almost. So go ahead and do this. When you get to the end, come back and I'll come and show you how to start the next row, which is going to be the repeat row for this part of the project. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, I have completed my single crochets here. I have 20 stitches all together, and this is pretty much how it looks like. Very simple, very basic. Okay, very difficult to see the colors here, the work, because it's of the white color, so it's hard to see that, but I hope you understand what I'm talking about here. To start the second row, I'm going to chain one and turn, and then I'm going to do a single crochet in the back loop of the very first stitch right after my chain one, just like that. Okay, then I'm going to the next stitch and pick up the back loop and do a single crochet, and then in the back of the next stitch, and then we just do back loop single crochets all across these 20 stitches. And what I do for that final stitch, the last stitch of every row, is I go through both loops as opposed to the back loop only, just to tidy up my work a little bit. So go ahead and do that when you get to the if you probably it's the first time you're watching my videos and you don't know what I mean by going through both loops, so just do the 19 stitches for now, and when you have one left, come back and I will show you how to work into that final stitch, and then I will have you guys repeat this until you have the band of your dress. Okay, I'm trying really to show you guys here. See, I have to go really close to the camera for you guys to see the work, but it's just the disadvantage of working with white yarn like that. So you see. All right, so go ahead and go until you have one stitch left, and then come back. I will show you how to work into that. See you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have one stitch to go at the end here, and instead of just going through the back loop, I'm gonna go through both. So for this final one, I just go and grab both loops like so, and I complete my single crochet. Okay, just like that. So that's the second row, and it's a repeat row, so you will repeat what we just did in the second row by doing a chain one, turning, and then going into the back loop and completing a single crochet in the back loop, which is called single crochet back loop or back loop single crochet. And you just continue to do that, and then when you get to your final stitch, you go through both loops as opposed to just the back, and then you chain one and turn, and you continue. Now I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about how to get the length that you want for the band. And I'm going to just put this down in a second so I can talk about that without being distracted. So we're going to work this part of it here. It's going to continue to build and build and build, and it becomes really long. And what you will do is, if you're making it for yourself, you will just place this right underneath your bust, like kind of put it around. It's going to be more like this until it goes around the top part of your waist, without stretching it. So you're not going to stretch it to make it fit. You're just going to place it very nice, and it should go around your waist, the top part of your waist, very nice and clean without stretching it. And when you have that length, then you come back and we will pick up from there. If you're making it for someone else, and I did manage to find my step measure here. If you're making it for someone else, you're going to make sure you measure. I use inches, but you can use centimeters, or you can use other measurement units, but I use inches, and you will just measure the waist of that person. So you will just put this around their waist like this, the top part, just right underneath their bust, underneath their breast. And you're gonna put it and just kind of place it, and whatever inches you get, you're gonna do the length of this band, that is the length of that, without stretching your work at all. Okay, so let's say the person is 30 inches, or let's go smaller, let's go 20 inches. If the person is 20 inches on that part of their waist, then you're doing a band that is this long here. Okay, so go ahead and continue working on your work here until you have that. When you have that, come back and I will show you how to join the two sides of the band and how to move on to the next part of the project. Okay, see you guys in a bit. My lovies, so I have gone ahead and completed the band here for our dress, and as you can see, this is pretty much how it looks like. This is the length that I'm looking for. When I put this together like this is very stretchy, so it does come up my hips very easily. So when you have that completed, what we will do here, and for those of you who are interested, I ended up doing 140 rows altogether. Okay, and what I will do here is I will disconnect the yarn. So I'll just cut it somewhere here, not to waste too much yarn. I'll cut it there, and then I will just slip stitch this here. Okay, so I'll just slip stitch that there like this. And what I will do then is the yarn that we had hanging from the beginning of the project, I'm going to use that to join this section here. So I'm just going to line it up like this, and then I'm going to put the darning needle, or the yarn into the darning needle, just like that. Okay, and then I will just join this section here to be able to close it. So the way I do it is I just go in to the very first stitch here, and I go through both loops, and then I loop it to the other side, and I do the same. I go through the first and loop it through both loops. Then I will pull, and then I often would do it one more time just to make sure I lock that in properly here so it doesn't come off easily. And then for the rest of it, I'm just going to go through both loops on this side and then just grab it on the other side, and I will close that in. And make sure you're not pulling it too hard, because you don't want it to be a little bit weird looking. So you just pull it a little bit, and then you just continue to do this all the way until you get to here. Okay, so I will see you guys when you get to the end. Okay, my lovelies, so I just joined it all the way here, and as you can see, I'm right at the end. So I did one already of the final stitch, so I will do it one more time, and then I will knot it and then just cut off the yarn. So I'll do it just one more like that. Then I will use the yarn that was left from the other one, and I will just knot this here so that it doesn't come off. Okay, so just like that. And you can either cut this yarn off here or you can just weave it in when you work with your work. But so what I will actually do is I will just cut it off so that I don't have to worry about this section here. So I will snip it off here. Okay, and so now this is where we joined here. As you can see, it's barely visible that's where the joining is. And what I will do is I will just fold my work in a half like this, and then I'm going to put stitch markers just about halfway on this side. So I know that this is the middle, this is where I joined my work here. So about halfway on this side, I will put stitch markers because we're gonna work the top from there. Okay, so just by looking at it, I'm gonna go 1 2 3 4 5 6. Let's say the 6th, I will put a stitch marker there. And then on this side, so wait, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So I'll put a stitch marker there. And so what I will do here is I'm going to pretty much work my top part of the dress first, and I'm going to start here and work myself around on the other side. So this part of the dress here, I will do nothing with. I don't work on that at all. Okay, so this is gonna be a preference. You can actually start it in the corners here, because what we do for the top part of the dress is we work our work, so decreasing it until it comes in like this towards your collarbones. So you can either start it here, or you can start it even before, or you can start it in the very corner. Just make sure when you're decreasing, it doesn't finish off fast enough that you have a short top of your dress. So that's why I started here. Okay, so with that done, I'm going to flip my work like this. I'm going to start from the stitch right before the stitch marker. And of course, on this section as well, I'm going to change the color, and I'm going to switch it to the black, because we're going to work the top all in black, and maybe some part of the bottom will have some white again, but mostly it will be in black as well, probably until the final bottom. But we will see. It's also depending on how much yarn we have left. Okay, so I just take my black yarn and I just kind of do what I usually do, which is to weave it on my hand, just like that. Okay, and what I will do is I will go to this stitch here, and I will work myself around because I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be able to do it like that. So I'm going to grab my crochet hook size, and which is the 3.5, and then we're going to work with that from this point on. So just give me a second to grab that. Okay, so I have my 3.5 millimeter crochet hook here. So with the black yarn, I'm just going to do a slip knot here so we can use it to start our stitches. So I just do it like that. And then I remove my hook, and I'm gonna go into the stitch right before the stitch marker here, like that. And then I'm gonna bring my black yarn. I'm gonna put my hook back in the slip stitch area, bring it back, and then I have it like this. And I will weave the black in as I go. Then I'm gonna chain 2. Okay, and by now you can remove this, because on this side you don't need to mark where you start off, but you want to keep the other side until you get to the last stitch before it, just like we did on this side, and then we can remove that as well. And then after I do my chain 2, I'm gonna go into the next spot, which is this spot right on top here, and I'm gonna go and do a double crochet. And I hope you can see, because I know the black color usually is very difficult to see. So like that. Then I'm gonna yarn over, and into this valley section I'm gonna go in there and complete a double crochet. Then I'm gonna go into this place that comes out like this, and I'm gonna complete a double crochet. And then in the next spot, which is the valley section, we're gonna do a double crochet. And you just continue doing your double crochets all throughout until you get back to the other side, where the stitch marker is, and you're going to pretty much stop doing your double crochets in the valley right before where the stitch marker, the valley previous to the stitch marker. Okay, so if you know what I mean, the stitch marker is in this valley. We're gonna stop our double crochets here. So please work your double crochets around. When you get to the spot, come back to the video, and I will show you how to start the next row, which is going to be a repeat for the next part of this project. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have done my double crochets around. So as you can see, I just worked my double crochets in the black until I am just a few stitches away from the stitch marker, so 2 to be exact, these and the one where the stitch marker is. And now I'm going to just remove the stitch marker. We have the work that it needed to do is done. We put that on the side, and because we're gonna just turn the work around and work on the other side. So as you can see, this is how it should look so far. This part of it is the back, so it's gonna have part of your back open, and so it's gonna start on your kind of like rib cage side, and then looping around to the front. And because we're decreasing, we're going to have less and less on this side, as it's all going to kind of come towards the front. Okay, now that you've done that, we're going to start again by doing a chain of 2 and turning. And on this side here, and you can always flip your work in like this to make it easier to work with every time you turn rows, because then you can work with it like this. And now we're going to decrease, and I'll show you how to decrease here. So I'm going to, so this chain 2 counts as a double crochet, and it goes with this stitch right here. So we're not doing anything in that. So in this stitch and this stitch, we're joining those together. So I will yarn over, go into this stitch, just like I was going to do a double crochet, but I will not complete the double crochet. I will go right into the next stitch and go and grab another loop to bring it back. So I have 4 loops instead of 3 for a double crochet. And then I will complete it by yarning over and going through the first 3 loops, and then yarning over and completing the last 2 loops. Okay, so that's how I decrease. So now these 2 stitches are now 1. Okay, and then I'm going to go into the next stitch and just complete it as per usual, and just do my normal double crochet, and I will do the normal double crochets all the way to the end. So we decrease only at the beginning of each row. We don't decrease at the end. Now, to decrease at the end as well, it's a possibility. It just means your work is going to come in like this too fast. So that is something you can do if you realize that maybe it's going to take too long for you to decrease your work to come all the way to the top, which is from pretty much above your belly button to your collarbones, because this is how long we want the top to be. So if you see that you may be increasing too fast, you just do one like I do, like this. As you can see, it's already starting to bend in this way. And if you want to increase even faster than that, then you decrease on this side and you decrease on the other side. But I will just do it on one side, which is just the beginning side. And so I will work my double crochets as per usual until I get back to the end. So when you have 2 stitches left at the end here, come back to the video. I will show you how to decrease on this side as well, in case you want to decrease on both sides. But if not, then I'll just complete it. But I'll show you how to decrease on this side if you want to do that. Okay, I will see you guys at the end here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed the second row of the double crochets in the black, which is the decreasing color as well, for the top part of our dress. And like I said, for those of you who want to decrease your work on both sides, I will show you how to do that. I am not going to be decreasing mine on both sides, but in case you want to. So as I said, come when you have 2 stitches to go. So there's this stitch that belongs to this double crochet here, and then there's the chain 2 at the beginning of our work that counts as a double crochet. Okay, so if you're decreasing on both sides, you have to make sure you have 2 stitches left at any given row, so that you can decrease by putting those 2 together. Okay, so if you're to decrease this row here, then you would just yarn over, go into the first stitch, which is on top of the previous double crochet, like this, and then you would pick the top chain of the chain 2, like this, to complete your decrease. And then you will go over and do the first 3 loops and then finish it with the second 2 loops. And this is how you decrease on the end as well. But since I'm not decreasing on the end, I'm just going to complete this row with normal double crochets on each stitch, like this. Okay, and make sure you're working into that the top chain of that chain 2, because it is a stitch. Okay, and then when you finish, you chain 2 and you turn, and then I will, in this case, decrease here as well. So I will go into the next stitch, which is this one here, and then decrease it by going into the next one as well. You will always have 4 loops on the hook, like that. Yarn over, go through the first 3 loops, and then yarn over and go through the final 2, and then you do the rest of the stitches as per usual. So just a double crochet on top of each double crochet, or on top of each stitch. And then at the end, if you're not decreasing, you just complete it as normal, chain 2, turn and decrease. If you're decreasing at the end as well, you do what I just showed you a couple of seconds ago, a couple of minutes ago. Okay, all right, so for this part of the top of the dress here, I'm gonna have you guys just keep working to decrease. So I'm just gonna undo this here so I can talk a little bit. So we're pretty much going to be decreasing this part, and it's gonna keep going like this, and eventually it comes to the top. So we're going to want to have not a full triangle, but it's going to be a shape that goes like this and then like this. Okay, for the top of the dress. So, and with that, it depends on how much space you want left on top of your chest, for example. So if you want, you can take your tape measure and measure how far on your chest. So let's say this is your neckline here, and you will just measure to see how much space you want to have left at the end, because what we will do is we will have a strap that will tie this around the back of our necks, like this. So for me, I will probably do between, let's say, 7 to 8 inches that I would leave on top. So which means then this much space here will be my work is going to go like this. So it's gonna go like this at the end of it. Okay. So but it's up to you. Some of you may want to leave it very small at the end, so which means you have to make sure your work stops when it hits the number of inches that you want to have for the space that is left on top of your chest. Okay. All right, so I will have you guys work that, and when you have reached a point where you want to stop, come back. I will do the same, and then I will show you guys how to do the bottom part of our dress. Okay, so I will see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked up the top part of my dress here, and as you can see, I went really high because we're only increasing on one side. It does make this part here very long, so just as a disclaimer, if we're doing the same thing and you wanted this part to kind of come in really quickly, you may want to decrease on both sides. But because I decreased on just one side, it does create a very long part of the dress like that to go up to the top of our collarbones. But nevertheless, I have no idea how this is gonna fit yet because I'm freestyling it. So I have stopped at row 32, and I have measured the top here, which is gonna be more important. I've measured up here, and it's about 8 inches for this section here, which is about a good size to do my collarbone. But more importantly, the fact that this is long here may end up making this part here go lower on our waist instead of a little bit higher. So that is all how you're going to decide. So what I will do here, because I'm not sure yet, I'm just going to leave the little bit of the yarn hanging here, because I will either have to undo some rows or I will have to increase. And also because we're going to be doing some straps for the top part of your dress, obviously, so that your dress have straps to be able to hold your top dress up. We're going to be able to do that as well. So instead of actually disconnecting this yarn here, I've decided I would leave it on. What I will do is I will just take an elastic band. I'm just improvising here. I will just take an elastic band and I'll just leave this here kind of tucked away so that it doesn't bother me when I work on the bottom part. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to start the bottom part, and then it will be a repeat until you have the length of your dress. So to do that, I'm going to flip it like this. As you can see, this is where we joined our work here. So that would determine our middle. Then I'll just go ahead and get my black yarn, because I'm going to do majority of the bottom part of the dress in black. And then what I will do, I will probably do like a couple of rows of the white and then finish it off with the black, or finish it with the white. So at this point, it's all up to you. But obviously, there's a spoiler alert here, because you see how the dress how the dress looks at the beginning of the video. So you will be able to know how I decided to finish off that section of it there. Okay, I'm struggling with the yarn here. I'm trying to grab the middle part. But I'm pulling and it's just bringing out way too much. So I will skip that and I will just use the little bit of the yarn that is usually left out like this. I don't like to work with my yarn like this. I like to pull the middle so that it's easy, and this one is not rolling every time that I'm crocheting. But right now I don't feel like finding the little string that is on the inside to pull it out. So we're just gonna work with it like this, okay? So I'm just going to get my yarn ready here to get started with doing the bottom. So with the bottom here, as you remember, we did the waistband to be able to go over our widest part of our hips. So you don't have to worry about that so much, but you also have to realize that this is going to be if it's fitting really, really tight. So it will go over your hips if it fits tight. But if you want it to be loose, then you will need to do some increases for the bottom part here, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a slip knot here for the black yarn so we can connect it to the bottom. So just like that. And then I'm going to remove it and I'm going to go into the center. As you can see, this is the middle here. Right here, I'm going to go into that center. And I'm going to bring the loop here from the slip knot. I'm going to bring that in. And then I'm going to make sure I weave my string, the black string here as I go. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a chain of 2. And then as you can see, these works are on a very top of this. So the next one, we're going to go into this part of the stitch here and do our second double crochet like that. So this is how it should look. And then I'm going to go into that gap here and do a double crochet, all along while I'm weaving these in. And as you can see, just so you understand what I'm doing here, this is obviously our single crochets here. And this lumpy area here consists of 2 stitches because we do have 1 single crochet on this side and 1 single crochet on the other side. So that is all I'm doing here, is I am doing a double crochet on every one of those stitches. And by default it's going to increase because on this side when we did it, we were not doing it on every stitch. We were skipping a stitch every time we were working on it, okay? But with this one, we are literally doing a stitch on top of every stitch from the single crochet stitches that we used to create the band. And then you're going to pretty much continue to create your double crochets all around. And then when you come back to the beginning here, come back to the video. So you're going to be able to work it all around the circumference like this. When you get to the very last one here, come back to the video. We will slip stitch and I'll show you how to start the next row. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have reached the end here. As you can see, I completed a complete row of double crochets around the band of our dress. And again, because we are doing a lot more rows, as you can see, it actually is widening outwards. Okay, as you can see, it goes outwards like this. So we're going to be able to continue building it up like that. If you have really wide hips, of course you can increase. And for those of you, if you're not familiar, you just increase by doing 2 stitches in the same stitch. But otherwise, if you don't increase, then you just continue to do with this, and this should be able to fit around the widest parts of your hips. And if you want it to be looser, you increase as you require, okay? But in this one here, we're not going to be increasing. So I will show you how to start the second row, which is our repeat row for the remainder of this project here, okay? So I have done my final double crochet here for this row. And the chain 2 that we did, I'm just going to go on top of that chain 2 and slip stitch to close this section in like this. So as you can see, we just shut it so that the row is complete. Then I'm going to do a chain of 2 and turn. And we're turning so that we have our seam continuing to be straight on the same spot. And then I'm going to do a double crochet in the next stitch after my chain 2. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same in the next stitch and in the next stitch, and then we just continue to work these all around until we come back to where we just started off. We will do a slip stitch on top of the chain 2 that we started the row with, and then we will complete a chain 2, turn and repeat, okay? So this project is very simple like that. However you want to order your colors is however you want to do it, but like I said, I will probably do the majority of it in black. And then towards the bottom, I will do a stripe or 2 of the black, of the white, and then complete it with the black. Or I will just do this and then do a couple of rows of the white at the end. So it's up to you how you want to do that. But that's how I'm going to be doing it. We will see at the end which one I chose to go with. But you just continue to work this and continue it. And when you have reached the length, I'm going to do mine to be kind of above my knees type of length. So not too long, but not too short either. So above my knees, so that is nice and appropriate length. And when I have reached that length, I'm going to come back to show you how that looks like, okay? I will see you guys when you get there. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed the dress here. So as we last left, I just started this part here where we go in the bottom, and this is pretty much how it looks like. So I did just enough to cover my backside very comfortably. It's not very short, but it's not very long either. And as you can see here at the bottom, I finished with 4 rows of the white color, just to kind of highlight, because this is with the black, so just to give some highlight to the dress, okay? So this is pretty much it here. So after my 4 rows, I slip stitched and then I cut the yarn off, and I'm gonna weave these in. And as you can see, we did the straps here, so this is gonna be where we tie the dress to the back. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So this is gonna be how our dress goes on. This is gonna be the back of it, like that, all the way down, and then this will be the front of it. So if I flip it like this, this will be the front of it. So it has like an open back, and then of course the front is fully covered like that, okay? So this is the dress here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and weave in these here, and then I will pretty much finish off the video. But I will not obviously bring you guys along to do this little part here. Any parts where you have to weave anything in, go ahead and do that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this one, and I hope you enjoyed making it, because hopefully you're watching it and making it at the same time. So I'm glad you watched it to the end. So hopefully you made something and have something similar to this, or maybe even better. Okay. Thank you so much again. And don't forget to subscribe and comment and like. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Hello, my lovelies. So I was editing the video for this dress here. I just finished it like a couple of hours ago, and I was trying to edit it. And then as I'm going through the video, I realized either I lost the clip where I showed how to do the straps here, or somehow my phone did not record when I thought I was recording it. But so I thought I would just quickly come back and explain to you how I did it. It's very simple. So as obviously we had worked up this part of the project before we worked at the bottom. And so I worked the bottom, and then I went back to the top here. And to do the straps, what I did is after I had stopped the final row, I just worked up a chain of 100 on one side like this, and then down that chain of 100 I work slip stitches. So for those of you who don't know how to do that, there's other videos. Anything that I do a dress and I do a strap like this, it shows how we do the slip stitch to create a little bit of a thicker strap. So I just worked my slip stitches all the way down the chain, the 100 chains, and then when I get to here I do single crochets across to the other side. So there's a row of single crochets here. And then when I get to the other side here, I work my single crochet in the very final stitch, and then I work 100 chains again to match the other side. And then when I get all the way to the 100th chain, I work down that 100 chains by doing slip stitches again all the way down, and then I finish it off by doing a final half single crochet here, and then pretty much weaving in the yarn and then cutting it off. So this is, I was showing this in the video, and like I said again, either I did not press record or I just lost the clip somehow. But yeah, this is how I did this here. If you want to know how to do the straps and then coming down with the slip stitch, just watch other videos. I may put a link of one of those in the description box just so you guys see that. But if you're aware of how to do that, then that's all I did to create the straps on top like this. Okay, so hopefully that will not confuse you too much. Thank you again, and I hope you enjoy the video.